All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:01, Pure Officiating Virtual Study Groups. Back at it. It's April 27th. My name's Daniel Young. We've got Brandon Cruz, Tuta Salam, and Corey Luxner with us tonight, as usual. A lot of plays to get to tonight, so we're going to get right into it. But just before that, just a little reflection. I'm almost in like overload in a really positive way. We're going every weekend or almost every weekend, working spring practices and scrimmages somewhere. And then we're on TV. We're watching TV. We're watching FCS playoffs. It's like the coolest, weirdest thing of all time. I hope everybody's getting a lot of snaps and focusing on their improvement. And unless anybody else has something else, let's get to it.
Let's go.
How's everybody?
Life is great.
How are
Life
you guys?
is good. Targeting. Cut the chit chat. Here we go, baby. Target. Let's evaluate process step number 1. Right. Here we go. We're just gonna blaze through tonight. So defenseless or not, somebody speak up. What do you have? What are you seeing here with this receiver making the catch process? We could talk about. There's a hit delivered. Is the player receiving the hit defenseless or not? And why?
Who are you asking? You asking us or you asking the community, Brandon?
I'm asking anybody that'll respond.
Oh,
Well, so before we respond, let's just, we're watching a lot of slow motion frames. I think be careful there. Don't let that kind of sway you one way or the other. Just saying it's something we need to consider when we're watching these replays. I'll start. Is that okay?
chat poll. How about chat poll?
Chat poll. Let's do a chat poll. I'll show you.
While Daniel goes on. Is this a defensive player or not?
Come on, chat poll. What you got?
So I'll read them as they come in. When in doubt, the player is defenseless.
Yeah, I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep track of them.
You are not
Yep.
defenseless. We have he isn't defenseless. He braces. We have a no.
Yeah, we need a yes or no answer from the community. There we
No,
go.
not defenseless. No, not defenseless. No, they're rolling in now. Not defenseless.
Silly. Who is Tuta?
Yes. D. I'm not sure what that DE means.
He's trying to be funny.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a mix with the Corey. Go ahead. What do you see from the statistics?
We got, from what I saw, I have 12 not defenseless and 2 defenseless if we count Tuta's cryptic.
Not sure what that is. Can we
Yeah, I don't
not
know if we
consider
count
that?
that, yeah.
Maybe we can just move on. Daniel, what are you seeing? Good comments, by the way. Good comments in the chat. What are you seeing?
Man, I think this is so super tight. If we start, talking about that standard from last week about whether the catch is completed or not, like this could be one of those really in the margin plays. But similar to a lot of the community, and I guess opposed a little bit maybe to Tuta, but what I see is a defender visually recognize a threat and tuck the ball and lower his body to brace for that hit. I don't think that's necessarily absolute. I think you can still – I think you could be airborne and feel a hit coming and brace yourself, right? Contort yourself in the air and effectively do the same thing he's doing. Having said all that, in my opinion, I think this is enough time for number 11 to transition to as a runner and see this hit coming and then brace himself. So I'm leaning – unless there's a compelling argument that's going to change my mind, I'm leaning towards not defenseless on this play.
Yeah, I'll go one step further. I'm not even leaning. I'm 100% sure he's not. He's not defenseless.
I'm with you, Corey. I do not have this player as defenseless either. I have, just like a lot of people said, he braced for the contact. He saw the contact coming. He was able to protect himself. I'm calling the bracing as him attempting to protect himself.
Do you guys agree though that can't be used as an act? Like, I guess everything. That's maybe a silly question, but that we need to be careful trying to think about that as an absolute. I think it's an indicator.
Yes.
But I think you could potentially brace yourself and still be defenseless. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can be airborne not possess. I almost screwed up there. You could be airborne, firmly control the ball, see a hit coming, start kind of crunching your body down, barely hit the ground, and get blasted in the head, and you would not be defensive. But in this situation, after taking 3 steps and seeing the defender coming and bracing, I would add all of those 3 elements together. But that's an excellent point, Daniel. We can't just say, oh, he braced. That means he's not defenseless. I agree with that.
Another indicator I see, and a good comment about slow motion. We want to be careful, but we also want to use it to analyze and then, put it up against our, real-time processing. In slow motion, not in slow motion, goodness. In real time, you can visually see the runner slow down. Yes. He actually slows his speed down.
Right.
They never do that unless they're anticipating a hit. And again, Daniel, not absolute, but another good indicator to show us he actually has transitioned to a runner.
Yeah, agree. Totally.
All right. Okay, what about the posture of the player delivering the hit? Chat poll. Do you see the player taking aim and basically displaying a targeting indicator?
Here we go.
Tough one.
Very.
We've ruled. So let me ask you this. When we basically, at least some of us, I guess, I don't know if it's not our job to convince anybody what anything is. We're just studying and putting ourselves out there a little bit more. If we say the runner or the player receiving the hit is not defenseless, does that affect how we answer the question number 2? So we said we all agree he's not defenseless, right?
Right.
Does that affect how we analyze our process step number 2?
God, I think maybe subconsciously it does, Brandon.
Yep,
I think
agree.
It does. I think it really does.
Without giving my opinion on the answer to number 2, I think it does subconsciously affect that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after the question, let's dive into that because I'm interested as to how so.
Yeah, so I know we'll dive in. So I think what are the factors, right? Technique of the player delivering the hit. What are we leading with? What's our body posture? We talk about linear body position, talk about launching, we talk about all those different things. So I can see this going both ways. So I feel like, guys, just based on some of the comments in the chat, we're reverse engineering our answer.
Yep.
Right.
And I know that's easy to do. It's very easy to bias ourselves with going to the result because we see the play and then go back but we can't. I don't think we can. What I know we can't do is make a decision based on just purely the result.
Right. And so if you're wondering why we continue to hammer this, this is tough, right? That's a tough habit to break, isn't it? Like to train yourself to go through the process before you get to that result and then allow the process to dictate the result. That's really hard. I mean, because, we've been mired in this results-oriented business for so long, we immediately go there.
Yes.
But the reason we keep hammering this is we just believe in it. We believe it's really important, and that the more we can turn this corner, the better off we'll be collectively. So, but you're right. We do this.
So, okay. So indicator, Tutai, you want to do this one first, or you want me to?
Oh gosh, you telling me you're making me step off the porch. Okay, I'll step off the porch. I do not see an indicator for targeting, although the defender did slightly dip his head. I see him attempting to make a wrap-up tackle, but his head did dip. I won't say I'll be lying if I said his head didn't dip slightly, but I don't see him leading with his head. I don't see him attempting to attack. I don't see him doing anything more than attempting to make a standard wrap-up tackle, with maybe just a little bit of poor technique.
I concur 100% with that answer, or with that opinion.
Yeah, tell me when you see him start to make the wrap-up tackle, because I'm struggling with your analysis there.
Well, his left arm came around. He tried to wrap up with his left arm.
Yeah, before or after the contact?
before.
I mean, he tried before, but the contact probably took him a little bit by surprise. The kid dipped his head into him, but he was really trying to bring his left arm around to wrap up.
Okay.
I thought.
Okay. All right, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, so what I see a slight ducking of the head, contact, and now kind of the arm come up on the after the contact around the back of the defender of the receiver. I'm really struggling. I think this is really tough. I'm not as confident as Tuta or Corey.
I gave my opinion. I didn't say I was confident. You didn't have to bet.
It's just your voice. It's your voice. You know, now that you're a referee, you know how to convey confidence even when you don't mean to.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I just
Did you
here's what we have to.
Can I use different words? Go ahead, Daniel. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. Here's what we have to decide, right? When we're talking about the indicator, and we're down to 913, the indicator with the ducking the helmet itself, and this gets a little bit tricky, right? The indicator with the ducking of the head itself isn't really an indicator, because the indicator, the ducking of the helmet has to be attached with attacking part, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where that's where I struggle with this, because
Daniel, real quick, that's why, for example, somebody in the chat said the offense was leading with his helmet. No, not at all. He's not attacking. He's not taking aim at all. He ducks his head, but that is clearly not an indicator of targeting. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to piggyback on what you were saying.
And that's a good point for us to just take a quick pit stop, because that's also irrelevant now that we're at 913, right? What the offensive player does. I mean, unless we're going to break ground here and start talking about 913 on the runner, and I don't think we're prepared to have that conversation.
Can exist. It just isn't even close here, because there's nothing about the runner attacking and taking aim at his opponent at all. He's bracing for contact.
Yeah, he's receiving this for sure. He's trying to survive.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I think we're okay. I'm just saying, here's where I'm struggling. I see a lowering of the head, and I'm just trying to get to the point where I decide if this is attacking or not. And I kind of misspoke. So we're at 913. So the attacking is almost kind of slides up beside the indicator and becomes an extra indicator, because for the ducking of the helmet to be an indicator, it has to be forcible. That's what makes it an indicator. We've got a ducked head and it's forcible. So now, in my opinion, that indicator exists. The head ducks, the contact is forcible, which is really the next step. But if we're going to establish whether or not it's an indicator, because we're talking about ducking of the head, the forcible is attached inside that indicator. Mm-hmm. So then we have to decide, is it attacking in nature? Mm-hmm. And that's the part that I'm struggling with to find. And I think probably would end up with Tuta and Corey on it.
Okay, I'll be on an island. I see that this defender had many other options. And when it comes down to it, he really makes a choice to go ahead and attack with his helmet. That's what I see. So I'll just put that out there.
I don't disagree with that statement that he has plenty of opportunity to do something different here. And there is the ducking. See, that angle right there is more damning in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree that he had better options available. It's not.
He has all day. He has all day to make a different decision on this.
Yeah, he doesn't
relative to football.
Right.
From a technique perspective,
attacking.
I think I'll just disagree, and that's okay. We can have agreements. I do see him with where we're at today, and all the emphasis that's gone into this particular area of the game, that I think we should have been able to make. We had plenty of time. I know based on everything we've studied over the time here, that he had plenty of time to make a better decision with his head.
I mean, I just can't argue that against that with a lot of conviction, to be honest.
I can't either. Right, I can't either.
I really can't.
I don't necessarily agree, but I can't disagree.
And I don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying, because when I looked at this in real time, I said, nope. And then I saw the end zone angle, and I'm not just going off slow motion, although you could say, yeah, you are, but I'm not. I said, oh, yep. And I just feel like I'm going to just hang myself out there to say he had an opportunity to make a different decision with his head, which is get it to the side, lead more with your shoulder. Since you're attacking, you can attack a non-defenseless player with your shoulder, whatever. You have a different decision, so make it. Right.
And I think, also just a good time this hasn't come up, so that indicates to me that we're really comfortable with this idea, but this is our new and improved crown, so to speak, where maybe 3-4 years ago, we wouldn't even be thinking about this as a crown hit, but you can tell contact is what you call, just above that hairline, the screws. And we do consider this as a crown hit at this point.
So I think you kind of skipped ahead, Daniel, didn't you? To question number 3.
Is it forcible?
Well, isn't 3?
Well, it's not just forcible. It has to be forcible with the crown.
With the crown. Right.
Right.
With the crown.
Yeah.
No, I didn't skip ahead. I was transitioning.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Segue.
I didn't realize that was a transition. Yeah, segue.
Pay attention.
I don't think I would guess that this would be 99.9% of us would say that this is forcible with the crown, unless we don't necessarily understand what the crown is, although Daniel just did a good job explaining how we have transitioned from, it used to be a pinhole. Now it's pretty much everything above the forehead, I guess, is the crown.
Correct.
So, do we need a chat poll? Well, yeah. All right, let's chat poll it. Do we see forcible contact with the crown of the helmet?
The whole community.
I know I did. I don't care.
We did.
I know. That's fine.
But as the community is pondering and fighting bias, Brandon, you made a really interesting comment about, like, when you first saw it, nope, not targeting. And golly, this is so helpful to me. I don't know if I'm just a weirdo or not, but this idea of, okay, I'm not sure this is tight. Let me just go through the process here.
Right.
Step 1, step 2, step 3, man, that's really beneficial. So I'm glad. I just appreciate that we do this. I think, and I would encourage, community members, universe members, like, steal this, man. Steal this, take this to the groups that you conversate with, your crews that you study with, because we've all encountered those plays and situations that are very close. And there's some people who are adamant one way and some people that are adamant the other way. But rarely do we stop to take the time and just break down all of the elements and then come to the decision. We get anchored in those decisions before we ever engage. And I think we've probably already said this tonight, but before we engage in that process, and if we do, and listen, we know that on the field, it's different. We're making this decision in the blink of an eye, but there's something about, we believe, just kind of training yourself to process all this information really consistently. So there you go.
That's an excellent point, because I'm honestly on the same boat with Brandon, which that's kind of a scary thought, honestly, if I'm on the same boat with that dude. But I saw this play and I'm like, that's not targeting. And then if we actually, and just like you said, okay, now if I go step by step through the process, I cannot definitively say that that's not targeting, because we already talked about the different elements, and we've gone through them already. Now, I don't necessarily 100% agree with attacking, but I can easily say, yeah, he's attacking. I can't disagree that he's attacking. And I think this is one of those weird plays. We have to go through the process just to make ourselves process. Okay, that's a different word. I'm using the same. What is that? A homonym? What is it when you use the same word but it means something different? Process and process. We have to go through the process so that when we get on the field, we can process this action effectively to consistently make better judgments. Or consistent judgments, I should say, not better, because I don't want to question anyone's judgment.
I'm struggling with using an injury to get to a decision point on this.
Oh no, yeah.
We're
not doing that.
I'm really choosing my words carefully.
Please, let's not do that.
I actually see, what's it called when they show signs of a concussion? Not saying this is it. What's that called, Daniel? When You remember we looked at that several years ago, or maybe it wasn't several years, but players on the ground, and it's almost like a seizure look. What's that called? Fencing.
Fencing, yeah.
Watch this player on his knee almost like shake oddly. I don't know if that's a sign of a concussion or not. Honestly, I don't really care. But can we not throw that into our that's not part of our process elements, is it? Did I miss something? I don't think players being injured or not is part of our process elements to make consistent decisions.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I struggle with that one because I see we see players get hurt every game. Unfortunately, we don't want that, but we don't make decisions. And it goes back to the fallacy of, I guess, I think it hits home a little bit because the referees have to protect the quarterback. This is what they told us. What?
Right.
Right.
How? I don't.
But to your point, Brandon, players can get hurt without targeting, and players cannot get hurt with targeting.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily targeting does not equal. Well, injury does not equal targeting, and targeting does not equal injury.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I have this as forcible. Contact.
Well, yeah, most of us did. I think one person did not. I don't remember what I saw.
There were two. It was like 15-2. Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for participating in the chat poll, kind of being willing to just go out there and tell us what you think. Like it.
So you're saying no more anonymous votes, Daniel?
No. Wait a minute. That's not what I said. Is that what you heard me say? Not what I said. I think there is a time and a place for anonymous votes, but for those of the millions of folks logged in, those that are willing to put themselves out there, I appreciate that very much.
Awesome. Good stuff. As more comes up, we can circle back like we have before.
Hey, Brandon, what's the deal with this game? What's up with this game? Where'd this game come from?
Yeah, it's playoff football.
Playoff football, man.
There was a playoffs. We should have let off with the whole Jim Mora thing.
Oh, we totally should have done Jim Mora.
This was actually not the playoffs. This was a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, you just ruined it. But anyways, the creative department missed out on that.
What a letdown.
All right. Process elements, catch, no catch. So,
oh boy, here we go.
Yeah. We've tried to do this very, what would you say, formally with targeting. We haven't done it as formally with catch, no catch. Although last week, play 5, that was fun, wasn't it? When we kind of looked at each evaluation point. But here, let's just break this one down, Daniel, right in the back judge's lap, So do you want to start with evaluating the action or talking about movement and the detail of what you're looking for as a back judge?
Yeah, let's start there. I think that's a really good point. This is, when you're in your back pedal and they're pressing you, especially from kind of, I don't know where the initial key for the back judge was, but this I think is the wide flanker to his right. So it's almost kind of like a backside post coming at you. That sometimes can sneak up on you. But if we can see right now, we've transitioned visually as soon as the ball in the air, and we are in great shape from a depth perspective. Sometimes they get close to us when they're running that post, but we're in really good positions. Here's what I would encourage all of us to do, whatever position we're working, is at this moment right now, when we know the ball is going to be caught. In fact, I was, thought a little bit about this last weekend, because this is something I try to be very fundamental about when the ball's being caught. And the reason I thought about it, sorry, I went on kind of a digression there, but was because I ended up getting passed up. And so just reflecting on that, I was really comfortable with that because I stopped, I processed all of the catch, and then I tried to run and catch up. And by the way, that guy's going to pass me anyway. So I was okay with it. I think right here, we have a sense that the critical moment is coming, and we just stop moving, break down, drop anchor, whatever euphemism or whatever cliche you want to add in there, and just watch and observe the action. Whether we like this ruling or not, we're going to see the details of everything that happens much more clearly. Any differing opinions there? Do you guys prefer to see him continue to bail out just to keep that depth, or are you guys on board with what I'm saying here?
Oh no, I'm on board 100%. That's my number one goal out as a deep official, to try to be, you can't always get perfectly stationary in these situations, But you can motor down. You want to try to get stationary as possible. I mean, we see two. We get the bottom side deep wing and the back judge. They're both still moving at a pretty high rate. Man, they're going to pass you if he catches this and runs anyway. So
yep. And right now, the back judge is visually transitioned. And, man, Corey, he's got a great cushion right here. He's
12 yards, yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you stop right there, like Corey said, if he catches that in stride, guess what? He's running by you anyway. And so I can't emphasize enough how much better our visual acuity will be if we just settle in and observe all that action. And listen, I've done it when they're much closer to me than this, because that's just what Corey and I are going to prioritize as deep officials. And whether that's working, contact and we're thinking about PI, or we're working catch, no catch, whatever the case may be, that's just something we're going to prioritize. So that's, I think, really important from a mechanical position. Corey, talk a little bit about the process of the catch here. So I've droned on and on too long there.
Well, that's all right. I mean, we are, we're looking for our firm control. We're looking for body part down, but we also have another element here that this receiver is, going to the ground, and we all know that at that point we do have to survive contact with the ground. And so, I think that when our visual acuity isn't sharp, I mean, that all those kind of finer details, they really become a blur. And so that's why when you hear Daniel and I really pontificate about, getting as stationary as possible, is because we don't want that blurry vision. We want everything to be, 4K Ultra HD as possible. And that really does help when you are stationary. You'll see those finer things. And so, I mean, I think the firm control, the body part down, we all, we see that, but then we, maybe we lose sight of the football. But even when you don't see that, I think from a timing element, Daniel, wouldn't you say that this ball just comes out so quick?
I think that's a great point. And I want to circle back to the going to the ground element, but that's a great point. Even if we take that part out, maybe we're unsure about that part and we just, golly, I hate to oversimplify this, but we just kind of rely on, oh, shoot, that ball came out fast. I am not comfortable that he had satisfied the element of time. I think that's a better default for us, play after play after play, longitudinally speaking. But here's my question, Corey. If I can see some folks feeling like, why is he going to the ground here? He's not contacted. He takes a couple of steps, 1, 2 foot down, 2 feet down. Why do we want to consider him going to the ground here?
Because he's stumbling as he's trying to control the pass. I mean, it's that kind of that, it brings in that element of time aspect of the process, that within that element of time, he has not really gathered the ball in. And in that process, he stumbles, he trips on his own feet, whatever. Maybe he had to gear down or reach for the ball so much, whatever the case may be, but he is still going to the ground because he has not satisfied all the elements of the catch at that point. And so since he has not, then he begins to go to the ground before he has checked all the boxes, if you will. Then we have to take the going into the ground into consideration, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. I agree 100%. And we can even see that the pass is taking him to the ground, the way he kind of reaches out. But the real answer is what Corey said. That element of he hits the ground before that element of time has been satisfied. That process is interrupted by him falling to the ground as a function of the ball trying to make the catch takes him there. So. Good play, Tuta. Brandon, what do we miss there?
I mean, going back to when it just doesn't feel right, like the ball came out too fast. Whenever I have ruled catch fumble on a play like this, and I had one last year that I'd like to take back, watching it full speed, and you just say, "Man, that just came out so fast." Whenever I say that, and then you end up looking at it on film, it always shows to be the correct call. I mean, I guess not always. I mean, can't say always and never, but the vast majority of times that gut instinct, that gut feeling, that can serve you well. And I know for guys like Tuta, they're very exacting and methodical with things, that, using intangible things like gut feeling is probably making him want to kill his cat right now. So, but sometimes that can serve us. It really can.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Good question here. Can you talk about communication among the deep three on this play? What if one or more of the deep three believes it's an incomplete pass, and then because the wide receiver doesn't survive the ground, I think the implication is if you're the one that believes it's incomplete, do you let it play out and then kind of get together at the end and try to convince everybody it's incomplete? Do you come in ruling incomplete? How do you handle that?
I mean, I think back in the day, we would, if somebody thought it was incomplete, we came in bailing saying incomplete. And I think, as we have evolved, and I mean, this is just my personal opinion, I think that if we can let it play out a little bit, especially if we have replay ramifications, that can help the game, I think, because then, okay, say, we let this play out and then 41 picks it up for the defense and, okay, he takes it back 4 or 5 yards. But then we come together and we kind of talk like, man, I had that as incomplete. That ball popped out as soon as he hit the ground. Then we come out and make the ruling on the field as an incomplete pass. Mm-hmm. I think we give our replay brothers and sisters a better chance to do their job. I know we don't want to officiate to replay.
No, and you're not. You're not. What you're saying is not.
I mean, but what we're doing is we're giving ourselves a better chance of getting it right. I think if we let it play out and then come together versus coming in and wiping it out. But
I think I'm hearing you say patience, right? Yeah. Allow your brain to process.
Right.
You don't have to be. I mean, we've. What's cool about football is you kind of have this time. You have time on your side, so to speak. No pun intended with the element of time here, but you have time on your side to let your brain process. You can get to the proper ruling. But I would say this. We don't want to just rule catch fumble, like you said, Corey, as a means to, let's let replay fix it.
Right.
That's not. Maybe it could have been interpreted. That's what you said, but I did not hear you say that.
Yeah, and that's what. And if somebody did interpret, that's not
right.
what I'm advocating.
And I know you weren't. Because we put replay into a real issue whenever we just decide to rule catch fumble and let it play out on plays where the element of time is tight. Because what's the standard in replay? You have to indisputably prove the ruling on the field is wrong. Well, if you really look at this, you could, through manipulation of slow motion video, you could see control. You could see body part. You can actually have 3 steps in a knee.
No, you will see control. You will see a body part down. And then the subjective element is really hard to juggle in replay.
Yes. And so that's where we get into a problem of, would every replay official indisputably say, I think everybody looking at this thinks it's incomplete, but can you indisputably say through a standard view through the lens of the instant replay does that you can overturn this? And I still think you can, by the way, but we get into a problem when we rule catch fumble because that gets really, really tough as we dissect that very somewhat subjective time element, like Daniel said. So way better to end up with an incomplete pass ruling when in doubt on these where the time element is in fact in doubt.
And that lesson was really hammered home to me last year. One of these weeks we need to show that play that I had last year.
Yeah.
It was one of those that, I saw firm control, body parts down, and I thought I had an element of time. And instead of really relying on, the only thing that I didn't really listen to was that gut feeling of saying, man, that came out real fast. And I come up with a catch fumble ruling, and it was really reiterated, hey, it's easier on our replay officials if we rule incomplete. And I never really thought of it that way. And that was a great thing for me to learn last year.
Well, if you think about it, Corey, it's a little bit counterintuitive.
Right.
Because, we're trained in other areas when we're talking about, recovery of a fumble or, forward, backward pass, that because once we rule incomplete, we take replay out of it. But we, as, those of us that came up in the CFO West years ago, had a great education about this and how replay, when they start looking at it slow motion, really get almost locked in, probably not on this one, agree with Brandon, but almost locked in some scenarios where we can identify firm control. We can identify a body part down on the ground in bounds. I mean, we almost, like Brandon said, paint them into a corner. So it's a little bit different. And that's why we really need to understand these concepts And then the last thing I will add, just to give another perspective, I don't disagree with anything you guys said relative to letting this play and being patient. Just for the way I work, if I'm the deep wing here and this isn't my area of responsibility necessarily, it's in the back judge's lap, I'm coming up and wiping this out all day long. I can't extrapolate that like your play, Corey, because I know the play you're talking about. Totally would not have done that because it was so tight. On a play like this, where I just am very comfortable, we're out in space, I have a great view because we can see the head of the deep wing on this near side. Just the way that I work, I would be very comfortable coming in and overruling this and wiping this out. But again, not to disregard what you guys said. I think you make great points. Just offering a different perspective.
You're both saying the right thing. It's just that, Corey's advocating, if you need to, take a little more time to let all the elements process. Yeah. And you're saying, you recognize this right away from whatever position. Like if you're a back judge, I think you recognize this right away, that really even firm control is of doubt, and the ball comes out so fast.
Right.
You can, as a back judge, just okay, I got that. Now I'm going to rule incomplete even before 41 recovers it, and I think that's great too.
Good play. Golly, targeting, catch, no catch. We are.
I know it's our two favorite concepts. But it's like, are you kidding me? Another one? Let's go 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Let's go rare play. It was actually brought up last week, and we found a play. I don't know how, but we did. So you're going to watch the player circled in red. Watch this. Blows this guy up in the back. Okay, so I'm going to let this play a couple times. Going to put up a rule reference, and then let's talk. So I always.
This is what's great about Brandon. We talk about collaboration, but this is true collaboration. Brett Baskew, one of our VSG members, sent this play after hearing us talk about it last week, and that's why I really love this forum, because we really do get to share. For me, using the term collaboration is not just tongue in cheek. I don't think it's just us lecturing people. I love that we have back and forth, and we are actually sharing ideas. So thank you so much, Brett, for sharing this play. And it allows us to continue our discussion from last week about illegal blocks in the back by team. Well, don't say team B, Tutal. Don't say that. By the team not in possession of the ball.
Yeah. Thanks. I remember you said that now. Thanks for bringing that up. So we go to our rule book. Let's just go right to the rule book real quick, and then we'll go back to the video. If you didn't see it all, I'm sorry, but you'll see it again. So this is, I hate it when they split sections like this in the rule book too, Todd, because it doesn't fit the slide format great, but I'll get over it. So the page before this.
Hey, I know a good IT guy. If you're struggling with your IT department, let me know. And I'm
doing okay.
Okay.
I'm definitely not going to you. Okay. The section before this, the clause before this says illegal. Blocks in the back are illegal. That's exactly what it says. Blocks in the back are illegal.
Right.
And then these are the exceptions. Okay, so this is exception 1 through 5, and this is under Rule 9-3-3, FR 103. Let's go right to exception 3. And it says when a player attempts – so remember, this is the exception to when a illegal block in the back – when a block in the back would not be illegal. When a player attempts to reach a runner or legally attempts to recover a catch – illegally attempts to recover or catch a fumble, a backward pass, a kick, or a touched forward pass, he may push an opponent in the back above the waist. So a push is to what?
Just get somebody out the way.
Well, contact them with the open hands. It's actually defined in Rule 2.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
Yeah, you can check it out. It's under block. Early in Rule 2, it's defined. Pushing is defined. So extended open hands make contact with an opponent. Okay, but I think the interesting clause here is when a player attempts to reach a runner.
Right.
So, well, what does that
recover a kick? He can try to claim that he's trying to recover a kick.
Sure.
That's a stretch as well.
My point is the push is defined. That part of it is not defined. When a player attempts to reach a runner, there's no definition about what is reach a runner, attempting to reach. What does that even mean? So now that's why we have video, right? I mean, that's why we use video. I think that's why this is so beneficial. So when we go back to this play, do you have any doubt that this is a block in the back?
Illegal block in the back or illegal
just
block?
a block in the back.
Oh, he's definitely blocking him in the back. Absolutely, yeah. I don't think anybody can question that.
He pushes him in the back. There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
He has his hands and he pushes him, and it's forcible.
Sure.
Now the question is, guys, give me your feedback on this. Is he attempting to reach a runner? Because if you evaluate him as attempting to reach a runner, this is legal. If you evaluate him as not attempting to reach a runner, this is illegal. Has nothing to do, by the way, with what team he's on. Offense,
right.
Defense, kicking team, receiving team. So I need feedback on that. Is he attempting to reach a runner when he pushes this player?
Not only would I say no, I would say hell no.
Oh, coming in.
Corey is on it tonight, baby.
I mean, we got to have some level of we got to have some level that the runner's got to be somewhere in his vicinity. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, this guy's 30 yards away. It's unnecessary. It's cheap as can be. And to say that he's trying to reach a runner, no. When I envision reaching a runner in my mind, it's I have to go through this guy because the runner's right behind him. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Corey, I think we could use not exact, but similar to when we talk about proximity, when we're looking at holdings and holding action and where is the runner in proximity to the holding. I think we can somewhat use a parallel or a correlation with this as well. Is the runner anywhere in the vicinity of this blocking action? If not, then is he really attempting to reach the runner? That's what I think we can, for me, that's what I like to use.
No, I agree. I think that's a great analogy. I think there's a lot of parallels that go with that.
You see that this is the guy that makes the tackle.
Exactly right.
He blew a guy up in the back to get there.
Right.
Let me ask a question.
Yep.
What if he's far away, kind of like he is now, and he's kind of boxed in, right? Like there's a team B player to his right and one to his left, and there's one in front of him. And then even though it's the same distance away and he pushes the guy down to go through him because he's boxed in, then would that change your opinion about proximity?
I'm not sure I understand your hypothetical greatly, Daniel. I guess I would like to see him use a different technique. I guess I'm on a technique rampage tonight. Why don't we see this more often? I feel that, players swim through players all the time. I don't know, Daniel. Maybe I need a better explanation. I need to listen.
Well, here's what I'm trying to say. I think in this case, it's almost like he goes out and tries to find this guy to push him in the back. In my opinion, and I'm very on board with Corey and Tuta that this is not in the effort to get to the runner. But where I'm struggling a little bit is in the idea of it being related to how close he is to the runner. Because isn't it possible he could be in a situation where he does have to go through that guy pursuing the runner, right, even though he's 15 yards away? Are you saying even in that case, he can't push the guy in the back because he's too far away?
I think you add up, Daniel. You either add or multiply. I don't know which one. I haven't figured out my formula yet. You can add proximity and intentionality. Now, proximity is nowhere near the runner. So it's very hard to say he is attempting to reach a runner. And then from an intentionality standpoint, did he have to do that? Or did he intentionally push this guy in the back? Because maybe the runner could have easily avoided. And when I add up or multiply, I haven't figured it out yet, intentionality and proximity, it just adds up to me as he's not attempting to reach the runner.
No, because
and I don't disagree.
When you look at the end zone copy, you can see him veer to get into the right. He has a clear path down like position 2.
Yep.
Okay, we're talking about ball position, and he veers out to position 1 to nail this guy. And I mean, granted, the receiving team player R2, whatever position he came from. I mean, I know he's supposed to run back, get to a spot, and turn around. Well, he does kind of dog it on this play, so he puts himself in harm's way. But I don't think that's an excuse to let him get blown up in the back.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, this is junior college football. And then, just in my experience, when in doubt, the junior college kids are trying to intentionally cheat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I get that. I mean, that's why we have a job, right? So
that's right.
So, okay, I don't like the word intentional to go into our judgment here, unless you want to say it rises to the level of a personal foul. Are we going that far?
I tell you what, if this was a dead ball action,
because if you're going to push somebody, it's pretty much intentional. You're intentionally, you're in the area of the runner trying to reach.
I understand. I guess he intentionally put himself in position to push him in the back. Yeah, every push is pretty much intentional, but he intentionally put himself in position, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'm not explaining myself well. I'm gonna work on my formula. I'll get my scratch paper out. I'm gonna work on my formula. I'll come back to you.
It's all good. It's all good. I like lining him up. Like I think that is that's
intentionality. Lining. If you line somebody up, you're intentionally getting
true.
He's applying intention to the entire process and not itself.
Not the act itself. Correct.
If the runner's right there, he's going to intentionally push the guy out of the way to try to make the tackle, and that's what the intent of the rule allows.
Sure. Right. Did you hear what Daniel just said, Brandon?
Yeah, I was agreeing.
No, you weren't.
Oh, really?
No, yeah. You just completely ignored the point that Daniel said. It's the whole process, not the act itself at the end. So Daniel was helping me make my point, and you were just ignoring it and just continually driving past.
Oh, my bad. Well, anyways, that was awkward. I don't like this as flagrant. No,
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either.
And I don't know. I mean, blindside block, that's been thrown out there.
It could be. The dude certainly don't see the block coming.
He doesn't.
He's attacking him. If you want to,
he is attacking him. And that's pretty forcible.
It's pretty forcible.
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
Open hands.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
that's an indicator of.
That's not.
No, that's not.
That word is nowhere near in the rule.
No, settle down.
But all of the triggers
that's in the Federation rule book. That's not in the NCAA rule.
No, the indicators we talk about are not necessarily part of the rule, by the way.
It is an indicator. We have talked about with all of the extensive training we've received on blindside blocks that a push, a shove is not absolute, but an indicator of not a blindside block. I don't think this is what we are intending to officiate as an illegal blindside block, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
I agree it's not in the rule book, but I think
it's not in the rule book.
We've talked to the guys about the praise block and using your arms and extending and pushing.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is either blocking the back or just a U. I mean, maybe it's a stretch to go UNR. I think it is. I don't think I'd call it UNR. I just think it's
agree. Live ball, Corey. I agree with you.
It's just a forceful IBB. I mean, that's it. It doesn't. You can have a forceful IBB and not have to be a UNR.
So, any guidelines around that really vague, very subjective, attempting to reach the runner? What is? I mean, 5 yards away, 10 yards away, 12.5, 12.25.
Well, here's the thing: we don't have to define it, and that's where I think the art of officiating.
I like that answer.
That's where the art of officiating comes into it. Not everything can be black and white in what we do. It really can't. And this is one of those where you just have, man, that's not even close to the runner. And you just got to use your judgment. And if you come out there bringing your protractors and your rulers and everything else.
It's a protractor.
Blast for the past, yeah.
Right?
Sorry.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, very good. I love that answer, Corey. I think that's exactly the way we want to think about this. That is well said.
Hey, are they stealing the Wyoming Cowboys logo, by the way?
I thought that's where this was, honestly.
I don't know what that is. I have no idea where it is. It's not in Wyoming. That's not Laramie. Oh, look at this.
Tuta, what is this?
This is the Brazil Bowl. I don't know if our guy Guillermo, if you're on, please let us know you're on. One of our VSG members is from Brazil, believe it or not, and he submitted this play. Brandon, you had a very similar play in week 4? What week was that?
Well, it's week 1, but we don't need to go into that.
Right. So we're talking about forward progress versus letting it play out. Oh gosh, what do you do, Brandon? What do you do here? Golly.
The way your voice stuttered and the way my voice stuttered at the same time, that's pretty much what we do on these. We talk, you deep officials and all these kinds of things have tight plays and tough decisions. These are tough decisions in the backfield. And by the way, Todd Whitlinger submitted a very similar type of, similar oriented type of play that we just analyzed for our camp. So those that are going to New Orleans camp, that play should be uploaded soon. So Tuta, this is, man, I think where I'm at with these is that it's so easy to say it should be forward progress.
Right.
When you're watching it on video.
Right.
When you're on the field, it certainly starts to cross your mind, but then you see the quarterback maintain the power in his legs.
Yeah.
And he's upright. Is he escaping? Is he not? If he breaks the last thing we want to do, he breaks the tackle. He's 1-on-1 and we're blowing it dead. I mean, it's just, I tend to probably let these play out too much if I'm being very, very honest. But I think the referee here shows a really good presence of mind. So what can we have here? We can have forward progress for a sack.
Yes.
And then when we see the ball come loose, really now we can have one of three other things. It could be a fumble, it could be a forward pass, or it could be a backward pass. Well, it's pretty clear to me that the ball goes forward, right? And so now we got to say, okay, did he intentionally throw that ball forward? Did he intentionally move his hand forward with control of the football?
Right.
Basically to make that ball move forward. So let me pause there and say, do you want this as forward progress? Yes, no, maybe not.
Brandon, you are at 49.8% on your conviction regarding forward progress.
Well,
but you want me to be at 100.
I'm very transparent with that. It's very difficult in real time.
I have no earthly idea. I have not seen this play live myself yet to know. I would love to be a little more deliberate, like you're saying, and let the quarterback make a play, especially considering where the next closest defender is. Number 9 is the next closest defender. So he's really not in danger of getting hit again. So I probably would let it play out. But God, as soon as he throws that ball, then I'll be really upset, especially if the defender caught the ball and it will be an interception. I'll be really mad at myself.
Well, okay.
For letting it go too long.
Also on the quarterback. The quarterback is still driving with power.
It is, absolutely.
So if the quarterback doesn't want to risk that, then I would prefer him to, if he ducks over, like hinges at his hips, immediately kill the play.
That's right.
He's giving up.
Yes.
He's not giving up here. He's not giving up.
I know. Yeah.
So some of our quarterbacks are even better athletes and are stronger than some of our defensive linemen. Maybe not a lot of them, but some of them are. And I feel like we let this play out in college football. I don't know what other levels of football are saying, but in college football, it feels like it's better to let these play out unless the quarterback displays body language of giving up, which I don't see that here.
Or he's in danger of being hit by another player, right?
Yeah, if he's being stood up. Yep.
Yeah, if number 9 was really closing in, then we would not want him to get hit again by number 9 after he's being controlled by number 93.
What about
53, whatever that number is.
I don't know if this matters at all. Probably not. What about like at the 37 where 53, or I think it's 53, is really game control and he starts to drive. Seems like he's starting to drive the quarterback back, and then he gets tackled by the running back. I mean, that seriously, does that make you think, oh, well, his forward progress was done, he was dead duck? Or does it mean, well, you know what? The running back tackled the guy tackling him, so that takes forward progress? Because that does impact this. I think he's in the process of just wrapping this dude up and swallowing him and driving him 3 more yards back. And then all of a sudden he's going to the ground, and now the quarterback's free. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. So with that variable, that's really interesting. Now you've got really 2 fouls on the play, both on the offense.
Yeah.
And obviously I like the referee's mechanics here. Very calm, it's not perfectly stationary, but look at him. I mean, he's just observing things, walking a little bit is fine. Calm flag at the end of this. Is he calling holding or intentional grounding? Any idea?
He called intentional grounding. And Brandon, let me ask you, are you comfortable with him throwing the flag on his own? We like to talk about intentional grounding being a crew call, and we want input from the line of scrimmage official. Are you comfortable with him throwing this flag on his own for intentional grounding?
Yeah, very comfortable, because he can see the running backs right there. Committing a foul for holding. And again, we talked about this a lot, and it comes into play a lot of different times. So when there's contact made by the defense before the throwing motion starts, now it's all on the quarterback, right?
Yes,
To throw a pass forward, he's got to get the ball forward. It's not the rule where he starts his throwing motion, there's contact, the ball spins out awkwardly, whatever. It doesn't matter what direction. No. He's got to get the ball forward here because contact by the defense has been made.
Yes.
And so we've either got forward progress and then really, nothing, because then we wouldn't have holding there if we called forward progress.
No, we would just to play.
Or if you're like me and you tend to be a little bit more of a wuss on these and let them play out, you've certainly got intentional grounding here because he's just clearly dumping the ball after contact. Don't even put the running back in the area, please. No.
Well, he's out of the pocket anyway, Brandon.
Well,
so he got to get to the ball. He got to get the ball.
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Not if you say
with the linebacker. I'm sorry, with the running back in the area. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. And I mean, but he's dumping the ball to avoid a sack.
He is. Yeah, he is.
The running back is not in the area of this pass. It doesn't even matter.
Right.
So we've got. Ultimately the defense wins the play and everything is right with the world. But I agree with everything you said, talking about if he's held up and you got another guy closing in, then we'd want to lean towards forward progress faster. If the quarterback gives up, lean towards forward progress faster. If it's one-on-one, quarterback has power in his legs, I'm going to lean towards letting it play out.
Yep.
I wish they wouldn't do this.
Yeah. They put us in a bad spot when they do that.
Yeah, if I could be.
How do you determine if the quarterback has power in his legs? Just by his movement and continuing to fight?
He's trying to escape. He's trying to escape the pocket, and he's still like this quarterback is. He's gaining ground. I mean, he's got traction. He's moving.
Right.
He's absolutely moving step after step here. It's not like he's stood up, encircled, those kinds of things. And I agree with your point that if this guy wouldn't have been so blatantly held, maybe he would have.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I was just curious. I don't know that I'd heard that before. That's good stuff.
Well, so we frown upon this running back tackling a defender off his quarterback? We frown upon that kind of action?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know what he's trying to do. But.
Ride for your quarterback, man.
So this is an interesting rules type question as well. Let's look at the clock. We're under 1 minute to go in the second quarter. We're calling intentional grounding. Let's pretend that Team A is the team that is ahead. What are Team B's options relative to penalty enforcement and the clock? So we had a poll and we didn't get it added. Maybe should I type this? Should I copy paste this poll into the chat, or should we just?
So we're saying Team A is on offense. Team A is on offense. No, Team A is ahead. Team A is ahead.
Yes, in our scenario, Team A is ahead.
We have a foul for intentional grounding, so we're going to ask. Okay, it's going to be third and forever as a result of that penalty. So what can Team B do?
Well, at the end of the play, let's see what the clock was too, as well.
It's 8 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, you just put it in the chat. That's a lot to read.
That is a lot to read.
So obviously, you got intentional grounding. Now, let me ask you this real quick while people are processing. If you do call holding, does the 10-second runoff, does that go out the window because you've got 2 fouls instead of just 1? Or is the 10-second runoff still a consideration?
Well, that's a question for the chat as well. But holding, does the clock stop because of the holding? Or does the clock stop because of the forward progress? That's what we need to ask ourselves.
What we don't want to get confused with is
Oh, you're saying we're calling both fouls?
Yeah, let's say we're calling both fouls.
Oh, we're calling both intentional grounding and holding.
We know that if we call intentional grounding, in this scenario, it carries a 10-second runoff. If we add holding into it, it carries a 10-second runoff option. If we call holding as well, does that impact that at all by rule?
I don't see why it would.
It does not.
The clock stopped because of the incomplete, illegal forward pass.
Incomplete forward pass. Yeah. So that's right. So we don't want to get confused because sometimes we get confused like, well, the helmet off, but we also had a flag. So we can't, you know what I mean? It's a whole different rule. If there's a helmet off and there's a play with a foul, we don't have 10-second runoff options. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's different. We want to make sure we don't cross those streams. All right. So what I wasn't able to read your chat thing. What are we seeing now?
I'm sorry, Brandon.
That's okay. That's my fault.
I know it is. That's why I'm apologizing. Your mother tried very hard with you when you were a kid too, but she just couldn't get through to you.
She did a pretty good job.
She did. I mean, your sister is reading it very well.
So you're not going to get on a boat with me, and I didn't learn anything as a kid? Is that what we're saying?
No, you learned a lot, but your reading just wasn't one of your strong points.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to your enforcement here.
It's too complicated, but people are choosing number 3. I wish I could have typed this up separately and had everything. Basically, what we're trying to talk about here is, let's think about this. What can Team B do? If Team B, first of all, if Team B decides to decline the penalty, why would they do that? Would there be any reason for them to do that?
No.
No, there would be no reason for them to decline the penalty.
Lost it down at the spot of the foul.
Right. So let's talk about Team A being the team ahead, and they fouled. Could Team B choose, if they decline the 10-second runoff, could Team B choose to have the next snap start on the snap instead of on the ready for play?
If you decline a 10-second runoff, you are putting the clock on the snap, period.
Automatically. Okay.
So 3-4-3 is out.
Okay. So Team B does not have the option to decline the penalty, decline the 10-second runoff, and have the clock start on the ready, even though that would be foolish for them to do that. I don't know why they would, but they can't do that, right?
No, they can't do that.
Okay.
Because 10-second runoff rules trump the whole, foul ahead by the team ahead in the score rule.
That's correct. So if Team B accepts the penalty for intentional grounding, is the 10-second runoff automatically enforced?
No, it's another option.
It's an option. Okay. So I wanted to throw this in the poll and in the chat so that we can all understand the clock ramifications, because this could be something where we really have to scratch our heads and think about it. What is going on with the clock after this play, considering the fact that we have a foul under 10 seconds in the half, in the second or fourth quarter?
Okay, Corey, you're on team B's sideline. I'd love to hear your messaging on this, because to me the option is pretty clear with what they do with 8 seconds to go, and they're getting their what's kicked, and somebody wants to get to half. So how would you deliver that message to Team B's coach here?
I would say, Coach, you want it to be halftime. You want one more play.
Okay.
Oh, see, Corey, that's perfect. You communicate so easily and so well.
Okay, so extend that out though. He says, "What are you talking about?"
Like, Coach, well, we got a foul that would require a 10-second run on. If you want the 10-second runoff, it's halftime. We're in the locker room. If you want one more play for your team here, then we can start it on the snap. But hopefully they'll know what I say when they say, "Hey, you want it to be halftime, or do you want one more play?" Yeah,
perfect. So you kind of cut to the chase, is what I mean.
I've been trying the past couple of years, ever since Coach Rule came in and talked to us. What was that, 2-3 years ago? I've really tried to learn their vernacular, really get into how they communicate with each other, with their players, and kind of their language. And I think the more that we can step into that realm, while we're nowhere near coaches, but if we can kind of dabble in how they talk, I think that just really helps with our credibility, our communication, and the efficiency of the game, which obviously is a big thing to all four of us.
Yes. Yeah, and it really can help, just like you said, the administration, because boom, you're almost being decisive for that coach, and then giving, relaying the information back in. It's so nice on these plays when you're processing this from the middle of the field. You already look over to the coach who has the option, and there you are already talking with him. That is so perfect. And then referee, if it's taken a while, just start to move that way, and pretty much you'll be able to get the information in a second or two, spin, make the announcement, and let's go to the locker room in this case. Cool. Brazil Bowl? Seriously? That was sweet.
That is awesome.
Okay, more talk on crazy backfield action, Tutal. What do you have here?
This is FCS playoff action right here, Brandon. This is Brookings, South Dakota. You're aware of where Brookings is, I'm sure.
Could you remind me who the number one team in the country is?
This is Brookings, South Dakota. One thing I want to say, this is an incorrect judgment and incorrect mechanic by the referee. It's 48 degrees and he has on gloves. I mean, come on, Mr. Referee.
It's probably a Texas crew coming up there to work though. That's
yeah, but nobody else has on gloves. But let me not mess with the dude because there may be a real reason why he has on gloves. I should probably be careful with that.
Especially what's happening right now. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, he did a great job throughout this game.
Yes.
But this was a really interesting play. So we have defensive holding, and we're looking at the defensive holding count on the screen right now. And then we had the quarterback roll out, and we ruled that it was a forward pass. So then we ended up with intentional grounding. The play went to review. And then I think we can see the stop frame on the screen. I don't know where your screens are at home, but we can see that the quarterback's knee was down prior to releasing the pass.
Yeah.
So now we got to go to review, and now we have some different scenarios coming out of review. So this is a really interesting play to think about from a crew perspective in terms of penalty enforcement, in terms of communication with the coaches. We just had Corey communicating with the coach.
Yep.
Wow. This is a really interesting play to process, Brandon. I don't know where we want to start with this.
Yeah, let's just start with, from the crew just managing this situation. Forget about replay for a second, because and what you actually need to do before any of this, because you're even in your mind, oh my gosh, was he down before he threw it? Just forget about all that. Just forget about all that. Let's get to the final conclusion of what we're ruling on the field. Ruling on the field is the quarterback's knee was up when he released the football.
That's correct.
And we just don't even need to worry about that for the time being.
That's correct.
So if his knee's up, that's what we're judging. Then clearly, again, he's dumping the ball after contact. Let's not get into the thing where, no. Defense made contact, quarterback's going down, dumps the football. Okay, solid call for intentional grounding, right?
Yes.
Okay, but then we can't quit. We got to acknowledge, obviously, this defensive hold, in which I'll talk. My mind was all screwed up with this play because I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so we got defensive holding. So now we're coming in. Corey, I don't know. Have you ever seen like a referee look lost out there or something? You're processing everything, and all of a sudden you surprise them with a flag. How does that go?
They just. I don't know. I don't think I've ever personally experienced with anybody on this phone call.
Yeah, you have. I guarantee you have. We all have.
I'm like, what do you have? I'm trying to work through my own. What do you have?
Right. I mean, and that's where when you try to be a good crewmate out there, and you're trying to make your referee look good and all that stuff, you have to be aware of that. To know, don't just come running. Hey, I got holding 28 on defense. And you have to be aware that my referee, his head's in the muck right now because he's got all kinds of crazy stuff he's trying to work through. So I would want to hopefully have the awareness to let you get through that. But I know that in the past that I have done that, where I've been that first example. I come up like, Brandon, I got holding 28 prior to the pass, and you just look at me, or my referee look at me like, what? They're not paying attention to you. They're going through stuff. So I think, we have to. When we're on the field with our referees, and this can be said for any position, if you see your referee going through this type of situation, let them figure it out and then say, hey, by the way, I know you got your stuff, but I have defensive holding prior to the pass.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, great. Perfect. So now, foul on the defense, foul on the offense. So we're going to offset. We're going to offset and replay the down. So talk about any clock ramifications here. We know there's 50 seconds to go. What quarter are we in?
Second quarter.
Okay, so that could be important. But we have offsetting fouls, and the result of the play, as ruled on the field, is an incomplete pass. Anything to worry about with the clock so far?
Now, if we have offsetting fouls, no.
Right. We just go to the result of the play, incomplete pass. We're starting on the snap. You agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now should we go to review? Let's go to review because we're going to get paged on this, don't you think?
We might get paged.
Yeah, we're going to get paged. All right, so now we've got knee down before the pass was thrown. So what do we do with intentional grounding?
It goes away.
Can't have it. There was no pass. We're reversing to down by rule prior to releasing the ball. So there's no foul for intentional grounding. So what's left? There's only a foul for defensive holding?
Yep.
Okay, who's ahead?
The Jackrabbits have to be. They're the number one team in the country.
Team B. I'm sorry, Team B. I said Team A. Team B is ahead.
Okay. So, okay, hang on. So we got another thing to consider first, right? I skipped a process step. So we're gonna basically, what are we gonna do? So is there any 10-second runoff ramifications out of replay because of all this? Let's go there first.
No.
So no 10-second runoff because of intentional grounding. We know that foul offset with defense. Then we go to instant replay. There's a rule that said if we would have ruled the play correctly, if we go from a stop to a running clock, then we would have, we could have a 10-second runoff out of replay. However, we still have that foul hanging.
Yes.
So the foul is an administrative stoppage. So the clock would have stopped by rule after this play, period.
Anyway, yes.
Okay, so my apologies for skipping that. We want to make sure we acknowledge that with our replay official and replay officials. We want to make sure we don't just drive by that.
Hang on, because we had a conversation last season where there were people advocating in this type of situation, while yes, we would have stopped the clock momentarily for the penalty, we would have wound it up again. And there were some schools of thought thinking that we would still be making this into a hot clock, therefore bringing the 10-second runoff into play. I didn't subscribe to that school of thought, but it was out there.
You didn't subscribe to it because they were just a little bit off base. They were incorrect. I remember that conversation, but it was good. It was good to think that way, I think, kind of, but it's just not the case because that we don't ignore this flag.
I agree, and that's what it was funny. It was really like a 50-50 split with the conversation.
I know.
It was a very healthy conversation. But,
very healthy.
We just want to make sure that we are not doing that.
Correct.
Okay.
Good. But we still have another clock consideration, don't we? I mean, we're reversing to down by rule. So we're really on a hot clock, but we have a foul by the team ahead in the score. Right? Yep. So we're going to mark off 10 from where? End of the run or previous spot? This is a running play now.
What's the foul?
Foul was holding by the defense.
We have to go previous spot because it ends behind the neutral zone.
The run ends behind the neutral zone, so that means by rule the basic spot
is the previous spot.
Fouled by the defense enforced from the basic spot, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's our 3-1. Now, we don't want to announce automatic first down.
No.
We don't want to announce automatic first down. We would want to announce, just to be consistent with the rules. If we do, it's not the end of the world. We would more want to announce like the result of the penalty is a first down or however you say that, right?
Yes.
Why is it not an automatic first down?
Because there was no forward pass that went beyond the line of scrimmage.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, good. So we mark off 10. The team ahead in the score fouled.
That's correct.
So while 3-4-3 did not apply to the last play, it certainly does apply to this play out of replay.
That's correct.
Now we have another Corey communication example. Corey, you're on Holy Cross's sideline. Obviously you're already with the coach talking about, okay, quarterback was actually down. Your quarterback was actually down. But coach, this is actually a good thing for you, by the way. Your quarterback was down. We're going to enforce 10 from the previous spot. It's going to be 1st and 10. Coach, I got a question for you. So how would you deliver this?
In this type of situation, I think I'd be more speaking our language than the coach's language. But I try to, I'd say, Coach, we can make this clock stop and put it on the snap at your choice, or we can wind it back up. Do you want the clock to start on the snap or start as soon as we're ready? And I'd really have a longer conversation, because I think if you say, hey, coach, you could probably say you want a free timeout, that would be erroneous because they would take that a whole different way. But I think that would be as quickly and succinctly as I think I'd like to do it.
Perfect. So the bottom line is we don't want to miss this very important administrative aspect of the game. And I think, do you guys think most coaches would take this on the snap? Perhaps they only have one timeout. So
yeah, and they're in plus territory. Absolutely, would take it on the snap.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there might be some coaches who think they can, be really fancy and manage the clock down to 0 and score. I don't know, whatever. I do want to ask here. Do you?
Oh,
I mean, something we just say arrogantly. Well, we know what they're going to do, and they can correct us if we're wrong.
No. Yeah.
Right? You see where I'm going, though? This is such a very detailed and nuanced rule that coaches know the rules pretty good for the most part, but not this rule.
Yeah.
They're more focused on what play they're going to call next.
I think for me, when we deal with administrative aspects, Brendan, and we make the choice for the coach from a referee or crew standpoint, I would prefer if that's on penalty enforcements, not on timing. On timing, I would never make an assumption. I just let the coach make his own choice on that. For me,
yes, yeah, okay, cool. So it sounds like we'd be, 1st and 10. I don't know where we were snapped.
Looks like the 20. We'll be 1st and 10 at the 29.
29, and the clock would be on the snap, and we just communicate quickly with the quarterback. Although, since we're going on the snap,
doesn't matter.
We don't have to really belabor the point. Say, hey, you've got a full 25-second play clock here. Chop it in and let's play.
Yeah.
So the other point would be, where do we enforce the penalty from laterally? Because we could. Where were we snapped from?
Position 5. Because we're going from the previous spot. Excuse me.
Thank you.
We're not. That's a great point, Brandon. We're not going from the end of the run. We're going from the previous spot.
So where were we snapped?
Always do on defensive holding.
Looks like somewhere the umpire is in the middle of the field, so we probably position 3 somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, replay process. We have process steps, and it's so easy. Just the ball's out there somewhere, and eventually maybe it's easy to lose that, right? Through all this, we've offset fouls. We've now gone under, into replay. We've now declined a penalty. We've enforced a penalty. We've got a coach option. Got to get the ball in the correct lateral spot after enforcement of the 10-yard penalty. So a lot of good stuff to work through on this play. Use it, and just see if all your groups can come up with all these different aspects. We probably missed a couple aspects that we should have gone over, quite frankly. But
right.
really good play. Gosh, Tuta, it's just an offsetting fouls play. That's all it is. But
I know, huh? Right.
So good work by the crew. Don't worry about going to replay on this. Whatever. I mean, these are tight in real time. These are tight. We get it right, and then we just play on. We just got to make sure to administrate it correct, because the worst thing we can do is be so fed up with instant replay, which is really a thing of the past by now, that we then make an administrative error,
right,
because of our emotion or something like that.
Hey, can we go back to the penalty reporting from the deep official?
Yes.
Corey, you mentioned you would kind of hang around. What I would like as a referee, and my brain works a little bit differently, I would like if you conspicuously hang around so that I would know that there's a reason why you're standing near me, and probably would want that funny whistle and then come. And I certainly appreciate your suggestion to not interrupt the referee's thought process. But if I go down my entire process, get to where I'm going, and then after I'm done and I don't notice that the side judge is there, and then he says, oh, by the way, then I might completely just get thrown all off whack.
No, I think where you're going, don't let you flip on that microphone until you know that I'm there.
Yeah. And make sure I know that you're there. So I'm like, okay, Corey has something too. So when I'm finished thinking this, then I can say, okay, now I have to process something else. Whereas if I'm processing and then I don't know that you're there and then you come, I might I'm probably not that smart to figure out that many things.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Like, we have to make sure that you know that we are there for a reason.
Right.
We're eavesdropping in and making sure you're not going to screw up an enforcement or anything. It's just we're there for a reason.
Right. But definitely love what you said about don't just come running in there and saying, oh, I got 28 holding, and the referee's trying to process whatever he's trying to process at that point in time.
Similar topic, but not really. But it triggered a thought. As the referee, you can see the referee standing with the back judge, which if you see, I don't stand by anybody, but that's just me. I'm kind of weird. I don't like all the nonsense. But we should have at least 2 or 3 other conversations between officials going on. It's like, okay,
oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah.
If we overturn to down before he threw it, we're going to do this. If we don't, we're going to do this. Well, what are we doing with the clock? Well, we ruled incomplete pass, so it'll be on the snap. Don't let them get confused with the clock, because that can, by the way, happen in replay. If you want some stories about that, we'll go offline with that. Goodness. And then, okay, if we enforce the penalty, we should have those conversations in parallel. Don't run over to the headset, interrupt the replay process, but have your conversations in parallel, almost as if, hey, look, I bet you they messed this up. Corey, Gene Semko used to always say this. He said, I'm just standing back there, and I'm not going to use Gene's words because I know this is PG rated. He would say, he would always tell me, you know what I do? And he was a side judge. He'd say, I just stand back there, and I'll say, I bet you anything they've F this up. I bet you anything they F this up. So that was his way of being prepared to come in and basically set the crew right, on these types of administrative. And, most of the time they didn't. But guess who came running in once every few games on that crew? Mr. Semko, here he comes. And then he would always say, yeah, I bet they F this one up. And that was just his way to make sure he knew what the, administratively correct outcome would be.
Yeah. And Brandon, we really get better at these administrative thought processes during the offseason. If we wait until the game to try to get better, man, it's way too late. It's way too late.
That is such a great point. I totally agree with it. Run these simulations, go through it, just like we did here, every single step of the way. Get more detailed even than we did here, because you certainly could, right?
Yep.
And that's just great. Let's go to I think we're going to Weber State too, Todd. Take it away on this play.
Oh, so we talked last week about did we talk last week about illegal blindside blocks, or was that? I don't remember what we talked about last week.
I think it was last week.
It was. That's right. By the way, we have a VSG member who was working this game as well. So shout out to our guy, Nick, who worked this game. We have an illegal blindside block action. We saw it on the left side of the screen. Now it's on the right side of the screen. Number 4 in white comes in. So now we're just going to talk about the elements of illegal blindside block. And Daniel, I know you have an interesting way of evaluating, or not interesting. Is it unique? I don't even know if it's unique, because I don't know how other people think about blindside blocks or illegal blindside blocks. But I know we evaluate it in a little bit of a different way. And then we have some considerations. Illegal blindside block, illegal block in the back. If it is an illegal block in the back, what about the philosophy of blocking into a player? And then after we talk about all of the actual action that we see, then let's get into some penalty enforcement, just in case we didn't have enough of that on the last 2 plays. So, Daniel, you want to lead us with the illegal blindside block aspect? What do you see on the action?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, the blind side is pretty easy, right? I mean, it's it's very clear that the defender, as a function of getting hit in his back, doesn't have an opportunity to defend or protect himself from this contact. So then the thing that we're left to judge next is whether or not we consider this forcible. And what I see is number 4 trying to get to the defender and at some point realizing he's not going to get there. And then there's a moment of indecision and kind of wants to block him, but isn't super sure about it and just ends up scraping through his back. But this is a good angle right here where, well, maybe that's not accurate. I mean, there's not a lot of indecision. He's not going to get to him like he wants to, and the defender lunges for the ball carrier and ends up trying to put his shoulder into his back and ends up just kind of scraping off the edge of his back. So for my money, I'm missing the forcible aspect of the illegal blindside block, but again, certainly blindside in nature. And so that leaves us with our next consideration is, well, okay, if it's not a blindside block, well, what is it? Certainly in the back.
Right. I don't think anybody can argue that the contact is in the back.
So what do we do with this?
I don't know. What does the philosophy say?
Well, so the philosophy says if we have a block in the back that, let's be careful, because it's changed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Where we used to say if a blindside block, if a block in the back doesn't rise to the level of a personal foul and he blocks him into the tackle, or it's happening simultaneous as the tackle is being made, then we don't have a foul for a block in the back. it's not really the case anymore. The philosophy now is if we don't really consider it a forcible block in the back and he blocks him into the tackle or it happens simultaneous to the tackle, then we don't have a blindside block. Does that make sense? That's a little bit
yes. What you're saying, yeah, I think what you're saying is if we forcibly block someone in the back into the tackle, then we still have a foul. Is what you're saying?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Trying my absolute best to say.
Yeah. But if what's the opposite of forcefully? Not forcefully. Not forcefully block a player in the back into the tackle, then gently. We could, gently. There we go. If we gently massage them into the tackle, then we could we could lean on philosophy to say that we would not potentially have a foul.
Correct. Then by philosophy, we would not want to call a foul for blocking the back.
Okay. So the evaluative points on this play from a process perspective really is the force, right? We need to see force either for the illegal blindside block or for the illegal block in the back action.
What about the whole notion of this chase position that we kind of broke down yesterday? Is this
yesterday, Brandon?
Yesterday? Last week. Everything's running together at this point.
I would say
he's definitely in chase position.
Yeah, and it's almost irrelevant because all of this contact is square in the back.
Right.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So,
certainly worth evaluating.
But this is one of those it's a great example of how you can be in a chase position in an instant.
Right. That's where I wanted to go.
You don't have to be chasing a guy down a field or down the yard line or anything. He gets in that position in an instant right before contact. So say he does get something in the side and then something in the back, then we could still have a block in the back if all the other elements are met.
That's what I'm saying right there, Corey. Well done. I really think that's just absolutely well said. Because I could see a lot of people say, no, he's approaching him from the side. And that's true. He is approaching. I mean, he's really approaching him from the side. But what happens? He gets beat to that spot.
That's right.
The receiver gets beat. Number 4 in the white jersey gets beat on this play. So make no mistake about it. To me, and I know, Daniel, I get what you're saying, but I do think it's still important process-wise to evaluate, yes, this is more of a chase position than from the side.
Yeah, you're right. Want to work our process.
Okay. All right. So where do you guys want to go more into like the judgment of force here, or have we broken down all the elements enough to basically, whatever it is what it is?
Yeah, I think people can choose for themselves if they see force or not.
This is, that's it, right? So you've got everything you need to make our decision. If you have force, then I guess you have a foul, and if you don't,
that's right.
You really don't.
That's correct.
So, certainly here, if the runner, is there degrees of force now? If you want to make it even more complicated, because if the runner's able to run, out of this tackle and run by, then like a punt, Daniel, where you've got the gunners buzzing by and those guys buzz by, but they get just tapped in the back, and we love those great calls for illegal block in the back. Same concept maybe where if the defender is put at a disadvantage here in terms of making the tackle, you really don't need as much force to have a foul. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Force certainly exists on a continuum where, in my mind, forcible is kind of it's still on a continuum, right? But it's more of a yes or no determination. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If 82 does a little funky move here and is able to slide this tackle, is without question enough force to be an intentional block in the back, in my opinion.
And then time element also, contact to when the runner's tackled. Obviously some proximity if you want to get into our holding algorithm. So a lot of parallels to all of those concepts we've discussed can also apply to this play as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of stuff to process in an instant.
All right. So is there anything you guys want to close out with? Concepts we covered. Goodness.
Wait, Brandon. Wait.
What do you got?
We didn't talk about penalty enforcement.
We didn't talk about penalty enforcement. Oh,
we got to enforce. We got to enforce this.
That's why I asked if you wanted to close out. Let's enforce it. Let's enforce the penalty, and then we can go home. But we can't go home until we enforce the penalty. That's not finished.
Yeah, we can't do that. We have to.
Well, I mean, I've seen officials walk off the field before the game was over. So
I've seen that with my own 2 eyes as well, Daniel.
What are you seeing on your screen?
How do we listen for just the spinning circle of nothingness?
Interesting.
Yeah, spinning circle of death. There we go.
Okay.
Here we are.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
You want to lead? I kind of overtook the last penalty enforcement discussion. You want to take it, or you want me to?
Okay. Well, we'll just do chat poll. First of all, is this a run play or a pass play? Did the foul occur on? We're assuming that this is a foul. Okay, we're assuming it's a foul.
Flags
Did
down.
this foul occur on a running play or a pass play?
So very simple, right? Flip a coin. Run play.
During the run or during the pass?
Flip a coin.
Can't believe I almost walked off the field again. Jeez.
Again. Chat poll's not popping off this time. Let's get it going.
We have the little delay deal.
Bandwidth thing. I don't know. Band latency. What's the right word?
I think latency is it. I think latency is it.
Okay.
I think Daniel's still looking for a coin to flip.
I think so.
I am.
Put that dash. All right, we're getting they're rolling in.
All right, there we go. Most people, other than Daniel, are pretty confident that this foul occurred on a run play. Okay, so next thing we're going to ask is where is the basic spot for this foul?
Okay, basic spot for a foul. Yeah, we said it's during a run.
It's during the run, and we can see where the run ended.
Right.
Where's the basic spot for this particular foul?
I know the answer to this one. I don't have to flip a coin.
You would need like a
lot of coins.
3-sided coin, maybe. Because what are the options? I mean, end of the run.
End of the run.
Previous spot.
Spot
of the foul.
Spot of the foul.
What's the basic? We asked what's the basic spot, Tuta?
Yes,
Correct.
what is the basic spot? We need to know the basic spot. Should I give people some help, or do I let them figure it out on their own?
They're working. They're coming in.
We're seeing it.
A lot of previous spot, little end of the run.
Yeah, we got a couple end of the runs, a couple previous, mostly previous spots. Oh, here comes another end of the run.
There we go. Behind.
Hey, we had this a little earlier on play number 3, Brandon.
Yes.
We talked about the basic spot.
Yeah.
No.
Wow. We have emphatic end of the run.
Yeah.
Okay, where is the basic spot? We'll just cut to the chase. On run plays that end behind the line of scrimmage.
Neutral zone.
Neutral zone. I'm sorry. Golly, I hate that they have those two different terms. It's ridiculous that they have both of those terms.
It's ridiculous. I agree.
It is. It's totally ridiculous.
It's definitely not ridiculous.
It is totally ridiculous, Brandon. The line of scrimmage and the neutral zone are essentially the same thing.
Well, it's illegal to be in the neutral zone at the snap if you're, a defense.
I'm aware. I'm kind of aware of that.
It's not the line of scrimmage is a line. You can't be in a line. It's just a line. The neutral zone is a zone.
All right, thanks, Brandon. I didn't know that a line was didn't have dimension to it. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So, what's the basic spot, Tita?
Previous spot on run plays that end behind the line of scrimmage, the neutral zone. Jeez, I did it again. The basic spot is the previous spot. So we need to really understand that. That's Rule 10. Knowing where the basic spot is.
10
why
2D1A.
Yes.
Okay.
It. So the basic spot, now that we know where the basic spot is, now we need to apply the 3-and-1 principle. The spot of the what's the next question I should ask here? I don't even know what the next question we should ask.
We want to ask what the enforcement spot is because we just identified the basic spot.
We got the basic. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Good. Why don't we define? Well, just tell us what the 3-and-1 principle is. What is 3 and what is 1?
You know what? I'll be honest. I don't even know.
That's okay. The 3-and-1 principle says you enforce penalties from the basic spot, except for the one that happens by the offense and the spot of the foul is behind the basic spot. Okay, so there's really four. Think about it. There's four combinations. There's defensive fouls, and they can occur behind or beyond the basic spot. That's two options. There's offensive fouls. They can occur behind or beyond the basic spot. So there's your four options. You enforce 3 of them from the basic spot. You enforce 1 of them from the spot of the foul.
I swear I never knew that.
Really?
That's what the 3-and-1 means. I knew it was 3-and-1, but I didn't know what the 3 or the 1 meant.
Yeah. So basically the 3 is offensive fouls that occur beyond the basic spot plus both sets of defensive fouls. Whether they occur behind the basic spot or beyond the basic spot, you enforce all 3 of those from the basic spot. And then the only one left is the offensive foul that occurs behind the basic spot. So the spot of the foul is behind. We enforce that from the spot of the foul. And that's the 1 to the 3.
Oh, well, see, I just learned something. I need to come here more often.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Tune in, baby.
But there's an exception.
Right.
So where do we enforce this from? We just
totally invalidates the 3-and-1 part.
Yeah, exactly. But there's an exception. Let's just get into it, right? So there's an exception when the spot of the foul is behind the neutral zone. And it is how do you guys remember this? I don't know. There's a lot of people say they're just blocking.
Foul against the ball and a foul against a player. Some people say it like that.
Say that. There's a fancy acronym that I can never remember. HIPPY or holding personal fouls. Basically, a foul against a player. So those fouls do not follow the 3-and-1 principle in terms of if the spot of the foul is behind the neutral zone. We just simply go from the previous
spot. Correct.
All right. So enforcement spot happens to be the basic spot here, but you got to know why. You got to know why by rule that's true.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Is that confusing? It is confusing, but
I'm fine. I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's important. We got to know the basic spot, and we still have some questions on basic spot. We got to go to 10-2-2 and understand those basic spots. I mean, basic spot on a running play is clearly defined. 10-2-2 D1A. Previous spot when the related run ends behind the neutral zone. That's just straight out of the rule book. There's no question.
Literally no argument. So there's three. Well, really, there's 2 basic spots on running plays. If the run ends behind the neutral zone, the basic spot is the previous spot. That's right. If the run ends beyond the neutral zone, or there is no neutral zone.
Or there is no neutral zone. Exactly. Yes.
End of the run.
Then it's the end of the run.
End of the run. So obviously, run ends behind neutral zone, basic spot,
previous spot.
Here it is.
All right. Cool.
Now you can leave the field, Brandon Cruz. You can declare the game over now.
So that is a deep dive into penalty enforcement. And I just challenge everybody. It's not simple. We have to understand that. And, and it's good. Like if that's like, oh yeah, okay. I understand the 3, I understand the 1 now. Now go deeper. Like understand all the basic spots that are possible. Write them out. Draw them up. This is much better with a visual exercise than an audible or whatever exercise. Man, you see what I'm saying? Because on the field, you have all these points of definition, like a flag, a down marker, a football that signifies the end of the run. The flag signifies the spot of the foul. You go look over, there's the down marker. That's the previous spot. It's much easier to me visually, but we got to know why we're doing what we're doing. Does that make sense?
Does.
Okay.
Really good stuff.
Okay.
Nice bow on the entire evening.
Hey, somebody asked about a helmet off. Maybe we should do one more chat poll. Since this dude's helmet came off and we had a foul on the play, does he have to leave or can he stay in the game? And I'm asking that question intentionally the way I'm asking it. Nobody clarify. This dude helmet came off. We had a foul on the play. Does he have to leave the game or not? We'll ask that in the chat poll. Yeah, chat poll. I think we're getting addicted to this chat poll. We just get
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Okay, all right, good.
Really?
Let's keep the poll writers on payroll, Daniel, please.
I'm trying.
yes, leave. He's out for a play.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, just making sure we understand that. Great answer, Michael Billikus. The foul was not the reason for his helmet coming off. So in other words, what we're saying is not, even though it's a correct statement to say there was a foul on the play and his helmet came off, the correct and maybe complete statement is the foul that occurred on the play was not the foul that caused his helmet to come off, so he must leave the game for at least one play.
Correct. And if you want to evaluate why the helmet came off, did he grab that helmet opening, or is it more of a rake? What do you think? Why not? We can end on a high note or a low
Oh
note.
boy.
What do you see?
I see inadvertent, just the guy.
You need tighter helmet.
Yeah.
Helmet.
Absolutely.
I don't see an intentional grab of a helmet opening and pulling the helmet off.
But we've all guessed on that, by the way. We've all guessed on that and been wrong. So we have to really see, we have to literally see those fingers inside the helmet opening there pull, you know, and it can be subtle. No question about it. It can be subtle and still be a foul.
And even unintentional, it can still be a foul.
Yeah.
Hey, 2016, I guessed on purpose on a face mask, and then I got a lot of red ink from our supervisor and just basically just smacked me all around.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can pull that up. I'm going to copy and paste it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, no doubt. Funny thing is, though, you had already self-evaluated on that.
I knew. I guessed. Yeah, absolutely. But I did it on purpose because I saw what happened. I was like, I'm guessing, but I'm gonna go with a foul anyway. And I learned a tough lesson that following week.
Yep, good lesson. All right, everybody, appreciate it. If there's nothing else, this was fun. We just, dissected everything like normal. A couple more plays tonight, I think. Did we get 7? Maybe 6.
I don't know.
Whatever it is, who cares? Who cares how many plays it are? It's all about the concepts. Thanks, Corey, man. Great job.
Yeah,
6 plays.
Always fun talking. I look forward to Tuesday, mainly because we get to do this, but it also gets me out of some chores in the house, so it's even better.
All right. Tutai, you good?
Yes, man. I'm awesome. This was a tremendously enjoyable night, just like always. Got to learn something. I learned about what 3-and-1 was. I had no clue. It didn't feel like reading it in the book. I'm somewhat lazy when it comes to reading rules.
It doesn't really tell you.
Say again?
It doesn't really tell you. I mean, you've got to
right.
put it together on your own. It just says 3-and-1 principle and then lists all the basic spots.
All right. You got to listen to some guy from South Dakota just go on and on and talk about.
There's no education, we found out.
Whose mother left him to the wolves.
I don't even know where that came from. That was awesome. Oh my God, I feel so sorry for these people that actually have to meet us in person. Okay, Daniel, thank you so much, man.
Oh yeah, thank you guys. Tonight was awesome as always. Really enjoyed it. We hit the idea of officiating in HD and the protractor ruling. Both of those in one night.
Oh my God.
Shout out to my man in Baton Rouge.
Yes, sir. That's a protractor overturn if I've ever seen one. Have a great night, you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Be well, everybody. Adios.